So obviously next-gen consoles are out, and I don't know why we keep calling them next-gen consoles when they're now current-gen consoles, but you get the idea. PS5's and Xbox Series are out in the wild, or legend has it, and they both have their pros and their cons. But there is one aspect of PS5 specifically that's gotten some flack because of its complicated process, and that's the ability for players to upgrade from a PS4 version of a game to a PS5 version. And this was specifically spotlighted by Marvel's Avengers, a game that saw a PlayStation 5 release a next-gen version, if you will, as well as Xbox Series. And while there are many who are complimenting the extra graphical fidelity and much faster loading times and better performance that comes with the game taking advantage of the better hardware, one issue is that when it comes to PlayStation 5, the process of upgrading from PS4 to PS5 is just extremely convoluted, whereas with Xbox Series, it's seamless, it's instant, it's effortless. Xbox Series has this feature called Smart Delivery, and that allows you to basically purchase one version of a game, and you get them across all Xbox consoles. You get the best version depending on which Xbox console you're on. But beyond that, it allows this sort of seamless kind of ecosystem that's very unified, and that's why when you upgrade to the Xbox Series version, the save transfers and the upgrading is just effortless. And while it is very much a kind of behind-the-scenes feature, people are really now starting to see what an advantageous thing it is and what a convenience it is. Whereas with PlayStation, well, look at Marvel's Avengers Twitter page talking about how to migrate your save from PS4 to PS5, how to upgrade from PS4 to PS5, and this isn't a Marvel's Avengers issue. This game has a lot of problems, but in terms of how save transferring and migrating and upgrading works, this is definitely on Sony. So let's check out what Marvel's Avengers had to tweet. How to migrate your save from PS4 to PS5. Launch the fully patched PS4 version and go to the Save Migration tab on the main menu to initiate the upload. Once the migration is done, launch the PS5 version where you'll be prompted to download the data. Even if you have the PS4 and PS5 version of the game on the same console, save migration is necessary to boot the save on the PS5 version. You'll need to download the latest update for the PS4 version so you can download the PS5 version. If you're running the version of the PS4 game that has not been updated, you won't see the Save Migration tab and won't be able to transfer save data. And just to really drive home that this is on Sony and PlayStation, recall that even first-party titles like Spider-Man PS4 had a similar process where you needed both the PS4 and PS5 versions downloaded, and you had to go to the PS4 version and upload your save file and go through this whole process that isn't too different from Marvel's Avengers. With Xbox Series, with the way they sync save files via the cloud and with Smart Delivery, you really don't need the last-gen version for you to migrate to the new version, but on PlayStation, you need to download the PS4 version, have it fully updated, and then also have the PS5 version downloaded, and then do the save migration. This is something that Sony needs to address. They need to give developers better ways to allow people to have an easier process of transferring their save files over and engaging with a new version of the game. Because as far as this specific aspect goes, Xbox is definitely ahead of the curve. And with no advance notice that such a process was required, a lot of people ended up deleting their PlayStation 4 version of the game, thinking that all they needed was their save files. And so a lot of people ended up having to reinstall the PlayStation 4 version or having to re-download it, which further delayed their ability to just dive right into the game. Here's another Marvel's Avengers Twitter thread further highlighting this. They're talking about how there are a small number of users running into persistent crashes playing the latest version of the game. And as far as the PS5 version goes, they said, if you're encountering this issue on PS5 and have just migrated your save, you will not yet have a backup save on PS5. However, you can work around this by restoring your backup save on PS4 and then migrating your save to PS5 again. This should resolve the PS5 issue. They tweeted, if neither of those work, we're working on a hotfix patch to address this issue. Your save data will not be lost. As someone who owns both a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox Series, the disparity in elements of usability is definitely something that I've noticed. The inconveniences that come with PlayStation 5, as far as compatibility, backwards or forwards compatibility, and save file transfers go. For example, with PS5, it isn't uncommon for you to download the PlayStation 5 version of the game, but also have that come with the PlayStation 4 version for some reason, and you having to switch between one or the other in the menus. And sometimes when you start the game, it'll start the PlayStation 4 version, so you have to manually kind of go into the user interface and start the PS5 version instead of the console taking care of that automatically. And it doesn't help matters that PlayStation 5 has pretty limited storage space by default in terms of internal storage. And so having both the PS5 and PS4 versions downloaded, that's just going to take up a lot of space, which further adds to the inconvenience. As far as cloud saves go, yeah, on Xbox Series, it's pretty much instant. The cloud save syncing is just very efficient and literally takes care of itself. You have to put no effort into that. On PlayStation, on the other hand, I often find that saves don't always necessarily sync via the cloud. I find that I have to download those saves manually. It doesn't take care of itself, and there are just extra steps that I have to take full advantage of the cross-generation elements. Beyond that, Xbox does have certain features like Quick Resume that have proven to be really convenient, allowing you to switch between multiple games and essentially have them all up simultaneously, allowing you to pause and resume between them. And there's also FPS Boost, which is something that they recently announced that straight up just boosts the frame rate of games without developers having to take any additional steps. The console and the optimizations that Xbox did for it automatically takes care of that, not just for Xbox Series only games, but also for Xbox One titles as well. You know, backwards compatibility titles also can take advantage of that feature once it's implemented. Xbox really focused on convenience, and while PS5 has its own set of very interesting features and things that they're pursuing, you know, the usability of certain aspects of it, you know, it's undeniable that it's inferior and that it needs to catch up. And I don't know how long that will take, because apparently, based on tweets from people at Team Xbox, they've said that implementing smart delivery wasn't as easy as it seems. Smart delivery seems like a simple feature because it just kind of works so seamlessly, and it's so kind of behind the scenes and kind of below the surface. But apparently, implementing that was, you know, it took a lot of effort to create that kind of seamless ecosystem experience between cross-generation titles. And so I'm wondering if Sony is planning to implement something similar where, you know, we can dispense with this kind of ridiculously complicated process for a very simple thing. Or rather, what should be a simple thing on the user's end, playing the PlayStation 5 upgraded version of a game without all of these extra hassles. This story has gained enough traction that some people are bringing up that video PlayStation made for PlayStation 4 about how easy it is to share games on PS4, back when Don Matrick was running things for Xbox and they had all of these DRM things that restricted, you know, borrowing and lending games. People are joking about how Xbox should make a video about this is how easy it is to upgrade or migrate your game from Xbox One to Xbox Series. Here's another editor who basically said the same thing: how to migrate your save from Xbox One to Xbox Series, launch the game, and then here's the PlayStation process. Now, let's make it clear that DRM stuff that Xbox One was originally intending to implement, that's a far worse issue than this inconvenience here, the convolutedness of migrating from PS4 to PS5, but that's not to say that this isn't an issue that Sony shouldn't resolve. Unlike the DRM stuff, which would have straight up killed Xbox One if they would have kept that, this isn't one of those things that will completely kill PlayStation 5, but I do think it's something that needs to be addressed sooner rather than later, because I have little doubt that we're going to continue to see cross-generation games for at least another year or two, because there are just so many users on last-gen consoles. I mean, PlayStation 4 by itself has over 100 million users, and plenty of those people are going to want to slowly transition to PS5, and if the process of doing so, of migrating their games, is kind of a pain in the ass in certain cases, you know, that's certainly not a good look. So this isn't a world-ending thing, you know, this isn't a PS5 is doomed kind of thing, far from it. It's just one of those, like, come on. I still love my PS5 and my Xbox Series. I'm still excited about the future of both consoles. And again, both consoles have their pros and cons, but you know, this is the topic that's kind of being talked about right now because Marvel's Avengers really highlighted how bad the way PlayStation does this is. And I'm just hoping that Sony will actually take this seriously and bring everything up to date, bring it up to par with how Xbox does things as soon as possible. But that's just one man's take. Let me know in the comments below what your experience has been like with PlayStation 5 and migrating games from last gen. Has it been kind of a more complicated process for you? Have you been okay with it? Is it a pain in the ass for you? How is save transferring and cloud saves, all that stuff? How is that working out for you? What would you like to see fixed in terms of PS5's usability? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.